Here we go. It's a genre conversation, the conversation amongst friends talking about films and their genres. Tommy Wishloff here from Sensor Rising Productions, joined today by Michael in studio from Blue Blue Productions. How are you? Blue Blue Studios. How are you, Michael?
I'm good. And yourself?
That was probably the stupidest thing I've ever just said in my life.
It's true.
Yeah, that might have been.
The best thing is we started out the same way last time, too.
No, I want to start out. We're saying that's my thing. I started out saying that every time. But now, I don't know how to actually go without introducing people. Also joining me today, but not in studio because she has the most greatest shoulder surgery of all time, is Kasen. How are you, Kasen?
Hi, I'm alive.
Sounds like you're coming out of the tin box. Sounds like we literally put you in a tin box.
We did.
How do you know I'm not in a tin box, other than the fact that you can see me right now?
You sound like the person from Alphaville, to be 100% honest.
Oh, good. Well, that's a nice thing to
He does not sound like the person from Alphaville. The person from Alphaville sounded like the dialect was entirely in verse, and I don't even know how that's possible.
The guy had throat cancer, okay?
No. Berkimus Maximus.
So, today we're talking about science fiction films.
Sci-fi.
Talking about science fiction films. Before we get into that, though, I want to plug our email, which is what?
I have no idea.
Nobody else knows. Okay, it's genreconversation@gmail.com.
You need to plug this more often.
I made it after I recorded the last episode, so yeah. After we recorded the last episode, so
you could have plugged it again right now.
Plug it again. genreconversation@gmail.com. genreconversation@gmail.com. GERNE conversation@gmail.com. Like that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That's pretty solid.
You should say it at least twice in case someone misses it, or you.
Oh, for God's sake, just go.
Yeah. So we want you to send us email. Any emails you have to send us, we want you to send them there. I especially want to hear lots of emails talking about aliens and how stupid Kasen and I are and how awesome Michael is. I really want to hear those emails.
All comments welcome, just so long as it's not an email about increasing our penis size.
It can't get any bigger, that's why.
Exactly. Just a fire hose. Have you seen it?
I'm not really sure what to say about that, Michael.
I think you are. You are.
If my Watt Cobra was available at Subway, it would be $5.
Oh, God.
No, it'd be at least 10.
Joke of the episode right there, I win.
All right.
We're done here.
I've also am working on the process of setting up a Tumblr with cute little extras like a lexicon, which is various inside running jokes that we have, like the rolling snowball of fail and face dance.
I love that one.
And the genre conversation drinking game, rolling snowball of fail. Yeah, I'm working on building that. So once I have that at an acceptable level, I will post a link to that somewhere in the show notes of one of the episodes. Doesn't matter. This is
all of them.
Yeah, probably posting all of them. You know,
all the following ones.
From this point forward, I'll post it in every episode. What was I going to say now? Yeah. So the films we're looking at today. Yeah, we're looking at science fiction films today. The films we're looking at are
Aliens,
Gravity,
and Alphaville by John Luke.
Could I say that more cutely? Gravity.
Well, it does fit the movie.
It is a great movie.
It is a very good movie. So anyways, then we want to get into a quick discussion here on science fiction films before we jump right into the first film. So science fiction films kind of can fit under a lot of different subcategories. I mean, we didn't narrow this one down when in hindsight we probably should have.
Why?
Because we have, there's a lot of different places science fiction can go. And, I mean, we're going to get into that later when we talk about aliens and in comparison to Alphaville and stuff like that. But you can go into dystopian future science fiction. You can go into, upstream color-style indie science fiction. You can go into slam-bam action science fiction. You can go into horror science fiction. There's all kinds of places you can go with science fiction.
So, break it apart later.
Break it apart later.
We're planning on having more than a few episodes.
Obviously.
Shouldn't we start with science fiction?
Insult
the viewers an idea of, how we feel about popular movies and then dive into subgenre?
Insult Humanity 2, the science fiction edition.
For God's sake. I'm pretty sure we could insult civilization with every sort of genre we're going to do.
It's true. It's beautiful that way.
Featuring Battlefield Earth, rated R, coming soon. Anyways, we want to jump. Michael's got to run quickly, so we got to jump right into the first film we're going to do, which is Aliens.
Aliens was made in 1986. It was James Cameron's sequel to the original Alien, directed by Ridley Scott in 1979. Production supposedly lasts 10 months, and was apparently affected by numerous disruptions, including Tom. The film was a major commercial and critical success, picking up $131 million worldwide, a 98% positive rating on the Rotten Tomatoes, and 8 Saturn Awards, including Best Sci-Fi Film. The film is known for being a sharp contrast in tone to the original horror style of the first Alien movie. In 2007, Entertainment Weekly named the film the second greatest action movie of all time, behind Die Hard. Genre conversation fave Roger Ebert commented that the film was unrelentingly intense. To this day, Aliens is seen as a pioneer of the science fiction genre, where many films have borrowed elements from the film, including Cameron himself, who would do so in the massive pile of dung called Avatar.
I was going to say, Avatar isn't good in the first place.
I don't know. Are we going to update the audience on my face desk count for today? Like, I'm already at 2.
Good.
Face desk, by the way, is the thing that I do in studio where I basically bang my head on the desk every time something stupid happens with our podcast. So, yeah, we're at 2.
It's quite high, normally.
It's my
personal
too damn high
to break that goal every episode.
To, like, make more face desks every episode. Like, just...
Since I'm in a Game of Thrones mood, to relate back to Dothraki, if Tom doesn't bang his head at least 10 times on the desk, our podcast is considered a dull affair.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Very good.
That makes 3.
Yeah, okay, so basically the way things go with us for Aliens is, contrary to popular opinion, Kasen and I both don't like this, and Michael loves it.
Well, that just proves that your opinion has no value.
Of course it does. Of course it doesn't. No, but we are going to be the first, like I made this joke to you beforehand, we are going to be the first podcast in history where we have a minority of people that are having to defend aliens.
Yes, it's true. I mean, you seem immediately credible going in opposition to a 98% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 8 Saturn Awards, and Roger Ebert.
Genre-conversation. You know what? Gene Siskel didn't like this movie, and he was Roger Ebert's counterpart, so I'm going to go with him. Don't ask who that is.
Okay.
Yes,
it's Roger Ebert's counterpart. There you go.
Oh, for God's sake.
Ta-da! No, okay. Michael, do you want to go ahead with your little spiel on aliens here? Why
because
you think
I could
this
talk
thing
about aliens
is
all day.
Please don't, though.
Oh, bite me. Aliens is amazing. But to me, what makes Aliens amazing more than anything else is just watching Aliens and realizing how much Aliens has affected science fiction. You have everything from the spaceship design to the kind of industrial theming of the interiors to the derelict colonies to the weapons and the whole kind of space marine look. It went a bit farther as they got more money, but there are really few films that have contributed as much to science fiction as Aliens has.
I will not deny that is true, because I noticed when I watched this movie, it definitely did have elements that you could relate to many later sci-fi movies that have been produced now or even in the last 10 years even. But the one thing that I have to disagree on what you declare is the awesome Aliens movie is it was just slow for me. The action behind Die Hard, like when I read that stat, it kind of surprised, that it could be compared to that surprised me, because it was not as exciting for me as Die Hard was. If that's just my humble opinion.
No, I definitely
can't really disagree with that.
I would Die Hard's a Swiss watch though.
Die Hard's pretty amazing, but
it's standard. That's the definition of a classic action movie. Die Hard.
One of the other things I liked about Aliens is that James Cameron could have done the same thing for the entire movie, but he didn't. He always tried to tie in something else to build suspense. You know, they lose their ammunition almost right off the bat because they decide to use a flamethrower when someone's carrying ammunition around. So it wasn't terribly smart.
Great idea.
It was at least plausible that they were willing to unload rather than puncture a thermonuclear plant, which didn't work out for them in the end anyway. But it made some form of sense. But you have a story where you have two squads of highly armed Marines come in, and James Cameron has to give suspense for this. And he does so in a lot of different ways. He does so with taking away their ammunition, having them overconfident, and using the kind of shaky cams. He does it through setting up the automated turrets, and you see the ammunition counter counting down, and you wonder, you kind of know it's aliens. Yeah. They're going to run out of ammunition. But then the kind of whole Ripley's redemption quest in protecting the little girl and getting into a massive cat fight with the Queen.
We'll get into that.
That was kind of dumb. But I know it made sense in a way, but it was still dumb.
It makes sense in a James Cameron way.
James Cameron could have just taken a whole bunch of Marines and a whole bunch of aliens and had them blow the shit out of each other.
That would have been an entertaining movie.
That's what I saw.
But would that have been a movie in the vein of Alien? Alien was made to be a horror movie, and this, for all its action violence, was still made to be a horror movie. Just a different kind of horror movie.
Now, see, I'm going to have to discuss that with you because I love horror movies to death. It's one of my favorite categories because I truly believe that if you can make a good horror movie, you are truly, worthy of film, in my opinion. That's just my own opinion. But one of the biggest elements of a horror film is time and how you use time, like you said, to build suspense. But if you use too much time, it kind of eludes the suspense and it takes away from it. So I think that aliens had the right idea with that, but I think they just took a little too long to build that suspense.
Am I the only person who's seen the first Alien?
Yes.
Okay, that's actually.
I don't disagree with that.
No, I find that very interesting, actually, that I'm the only person who's seen the first Alien.
But that does also, then you would presumably feel a similar way about Halloween.
Halloween is brilliant, though.
It is a brilliant
watch. That is a
but
slow
it's
watch.
also very slow paced.
So that's a slow burn. That film, what that film does, though, is a lot different than what Aliens does.
Yeah.
In that film kind of slowly adds more attention, and this kind of doesn't. I mean, I definitely don't agree with you, Kasen, that it's boring in any sense of imagination. I mean, I wasn't actually bored throughout any of it. It got to a point where I was just so frustrated with the writing that I was kind of just hate watching. I was kind of just hate watching it. I know, I seriously was. I was hate watching it. Like at about 70 minutes in, when the aliens showed up, I was hate watching it. I was just like, I'm done with this thing. I can't actually physically force myself to find a way to like this anymore.
The writing was terrible. I thought, the quotes, what we had this discussion earlier on.
I'm the biggest badass.
Lines and stuff were just too corny for me.
Like the issue I have with this film, and maybe this is just me, reviewing the film I wanted, not the one I got. But having actually seen the first Alien, I went into this expecting something very similar to that. It's actually the complete opposite to what the first Alien movie is.
Well, yeah.
The first Alien movie is basically a slasher movie in space. This movie is an action thriller in space. I honestly don't. This movie made me pissed off at the rest of society because I don't understand how everyone gets so mad at J.J. Abrams now for basically making Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan Into Darkness version.
Whoa. Do not touch Star Trek. That is my baby. Do not touch that.
No, but that most people don't like the most recent one. They say that, you can't just do Wrath of Khan and then pretend that other things are different. It's C is different. That's the issue I have with this movie.
Yeah.
You can't just take Alien and then say, it's the same, but it's different, and now it's got people running around screaming, I'm a badass, blah, 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 and then some girl gets lost for basically it's the most laziest thing you could possibly do is have some girl get captured in it.
Her getting lost was
lazy.
That is the laziest thing you could possibly do. There's so many better ways. What that's a mark of is that you didn't build the characters very well. You did not develop the characters well enough that you could keep me invested in them being in there to get away from them.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the girl getting captured to me is a long-winded plot device to mirror the ending of the first Alien.
Yeah,
essentially.
Essentially, I just felt like it was a lazy way for Cameron to try and get you more invested in characters that he didn't develop properly. In the first Alien film, I am on board for all of them. I care so much about Captain Dallas and the black guy. I can't remember what his name is now. But I care so much about like.
Show so much you care.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I care so much.
You
I can't
care
remember
so
his
much
name.
you can't remember his
I
name.
cannot remember his name. No, but there's one scene from the first Alien movie that gets me every time, and it's Captain Dallas. He lowers himself into this shaft. And he looks behind him.
Shaft.
Yeah, shaft.
Oh my God. Grow up.
Ow! he looks,
maybe later.
He looks behind him, and the alien's not there. But he doesn't look with the flashlight. He flashes the flashlight in front of him. The alien, you expect the alien to pop up behind him. It doesn't. Then he flashes the flashlight behind him. Bam! The alien's there.
Wait. So all of that you're building up to was you really liked the jump scare?
It's not a jump scare because it built to it. I knew that at some point the alien was going to show up.
No,
But
that's
you
a
didn't
jump
know
scare.
where. You did like the theme of unknowing is just really powerful in these in that sort of suspense because you expect
That's exactly what it is. That is a jump scare.
4. No, but
That was 5. You did it twice.
5 times twice.
I'll keep it
Yeah, that was a double
You're
face.
going to keep the tally? Okay, double face test. No, but it's just like it's like this movie has nothing like that for me. I don't.
No, it doesn't.
I can't even if they did the same. If you did the same shot with somebody, I wouldn't care because I don't care about any of them. Even Ripley, who I cared so much about in the first movie, I don't care about.
I felt the only connection in the movie I felt was towards Ripley, and it was difficult to feel the connection towards Ripley because while I was interested in what the plot did to her, which was essentially tore her out of time, and then she got to face the kind of horrors of being dissociated from the world for
Let's
that
be
long.
honest, that's what every Aliens film does, though. Like Alien 3, like they
I'm
crash
sorry,
land.
there is no Alien 3.
Aliens 3, they crash land.
That movie doesn't exist. What are you talking about? Stop making stuff up.
That one that was built by David Tothy and then Fincher ended up directing it? Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
No, if you want to talk about horror, that was the anal fisting of the Aliens franchise. So you shut the fuck up.
Okay.
I stand by that.
No, but like the same thing happened in Aliens Resurrection too, following film that shall not be named.
There is no resurrection movie. Stop making shit up.
No, but it's like every movie does this with like Ripley disappears and then comes back a million years later to
Yes.
fight more aliens.
Well, let's be honest. It was interesting at first because they hadn't done it 1,000 times yet.
Yeah, and then after I was like, oh, thanks. This is really
This was technically the first time they played this card.
No, and I definitely agree with that. I mean, I kind of like lost any interest in her character after the weird, hilarious They Live style dream. Like, what's that film? Nobody knows what I'm talking about. I can't remember what it's called now. There's a film with like a hospital scene that is almost exactly identical to the one with, and it's got like hands. It's got hands popping, like hands that are like, cut off, popping out everywhere.
Could it have been the same hospital since it is a sci-fi film? You never know.
Yeah, like how dare they have a hospital in a sci-fi
How
movie?
dare they have a hospital? How dare they have space? How dare they have aliens? What is this garbage? I'm done.
I think the fact that you're kind of missing one of the central points to the horror of Aliens, which is it's about reproductive horror.
No, it definitely is a reproductive horror film.
And that's why Ripley is kind of, because Ripley is the odd person out, because she's been frozen in time for 57 years, she is both your tragic character and your audience proxy.
Yeah.
And she's the one character you're going to relate to. She's the one character you'll be like, what is that gun? I haven't seen that before. Or why are you guys running in there so casually? Because, you know...
I know that this is not going to go well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's beautiful for you because you know from the way she's reacting that you shouldn't be... You're not watching this thinking, oh, man, these guys are going to do an awesome job clearing this complex. You're watching this going, oh, man, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, you pretty much...
Yeah.
I feel almost like everyone not named Ripley in this film is basically a prop for more special effects.
Yes.
Without a doubt. And I find that to be just frustrating.
I find that to be one of the central points of the movie.
That is that's frustrating because it is the central point of the movie. Okay, but Alien doesn't have anybody as a prop. Okay, they're all characters. They're all built and they live within the film, and it develops its ideas about Vietnam and reproduction or whatever the heck Alien is actually going for. It develops that in a way that Aliens doesn't, because Alien just wants everybody to be a giant prop for James Cameron to blow up with special effects.
Well, let's be honest. What would be the point of recreating the message you've already made and made well in the first movie?
Well, why would you make a sequel then?
Because you can still do something with that universe.
No, it's
where
because
else
you
can we
want
take
money.
this? And I think it's really interesting because he manages to explore the horror of the unknown from the perspective of someone who knows exactly what it is. But because Ripley is the only person who knows what it is, you can understand why no one else trusts her and puts her through psych exams, wondering if she's completely lost her shit. And it allows you to get into her head, and it changes the way you watch these soldiers. If nobody knew what had happened on this outpost, nobody knew what an alien was, then going into this, you would have completely different expectations for the troops in the movie. But the fact that the movie itself, through Ripley, detaches you from the soldiers and makes you watch them almost in a farce kind of way, because you see through all their posturing and all of their, all of their sloppy over-reliance on technology. You can tell that they're not following protocol when they're storming out onto the field. They're lazy.
Yeah.
It completely changes the way you watch them. And it changes the way you watch them when they die.
I still see them as props. This is part of the issue. I can't get over them being nothing but props, even if...
They are props.
I don't like that. I'm sorry. I just find it to be really lazy.
It doesn't matter if they're all Picasso. In fact, no, that's part of the point. Because the director is trying to detach you from these people. They're almost stereotypes on purpose. He wants you in Ripley's head.
It's so frustrating, though. It's
so
frustrating to watch this film where it's like there's nothing to attach to. And not only that, I don't see that he's going for that. He wants this thing to be so hip and 80s cool, and it blow up a whole bunch of shit, and have a thing that's going to detonate the force of an atomic bomb. And all these things, you're like, why would you do this? This is so stupid. This just really is dumb. I really don't see it having, any form of intelligence whatsoever. I just see big guns and girls getting captured by aliens and just poorly, cliche attempts at creating drama. And it doesn't work that way. And we haven't even got to the ending yet, which I think is the stupidest thing, because it is literally a rehash of the first film. This is why I'm frustrated. This is why I'm frustrated, because he wants it so badly to be alien, but not alien. It's so frustrating.
And succeeds at that. I think he would be an idiot if he went into it wanting it to be alien and forcing it to be alien.
I would rather it be something entirely different. I would rather he just take out every single character from the first film and just use the same company. I would rather he do that. That would work way better. I'd rather he do basically just treat this as not as a giant action film, because that's basically what it is anyway, but take out Ripley and just go with an entirely different storyline, an entirely different set of people. Kind of like what he does with Prometheus, which is not a good movie, but something like that idea.
I didn't like that either.
No, I don't like Prometheus, but I'd rather see that than this, to be 100% honest.
What do you want?
I want the first Alien movie, because that movie is a Swiss watch.
Well, then we can just do a remake of it and make Steve, slap it in stores and call it a day.
That movie's a Swiss watch. I can go watch that movie. That movie's my top 11 of all time. That
I have
is
no doubt it's a
beyond
fantastic movie.
That movie eats
But
this
it's
movie.
a very different movie from this movie.
That movie eats this movie with its little mouth, like the mother alien does in this movie. Okay, that movie just that movie just shits on this thing. That's the issue I have with this, is that it's this is supposed to be this great, the greatest sequel of all time. It's supposed to be this amazing action film, and it can't hold a candle to the first Alien movie.
It's not.
It's not trying to.
It's not.
It can't. Even if it isn't trying to, it just doesn't. And the frustration I'm having is, why would I sit through 2.5 hours of this when I could just watch the 2 hours of Alien and enjoy it?
It's partly because you go into this knowing you're not going to please everyone. You can't. If you have painted, I don't think the original Alien is quite the Mona Lisa. But if you have painted the Mona Lisa and someone says, great, make something else like that, you don't try to outdo the Mona Lisa.
What is this, that David O. Russell, who's better, the forger or the real painter thing?
Well, you see where I'm saying.
Because I don't see...
If you create it's kind of like the reason that I don't think Square Enix is ever going to truly remake Final Fantasy VII.
I don't know the reference, but sure, keep going.
Well, it was their flagship. It was the single best title they ever produced in terms of sales and impact. And it did have many flaws. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what they did, they wouldn't have a happy audience. If they changed and corrected the dialogue, they'd have unhappy fans because now the dialogue doesn't match what they remember. if they just upgraded the graphics, they'd have people complain that they were just slapping a new coat of paint on it. Mm-hmm. There's no way that they can remake the magic of the first one because it can't have the impact it did anymore.
Then why would you do that then?
That's
why would you do this with this film? Yeah, why would you do that with this film then?
He didn't. That's why he did something else with it. He's like, I've already conclusively said what I can say about this. What else can I do with this world? How can I try and take a spin off what worked here and try to weave something new with it? And I think it turns out it's a brilliant satire of the military, and also an attempt to try and take on, well, how can I still make a horror movie if I have multiple slashers running around? Can I still make a horror movie if I give the good guys guns? Because normally, in and of itself, this would destroy a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a horror movie. That's part of the issue. I see it as this...
It's more a thriller.
No, it's an action film.
Yeah, that was my problem, too, is as much as I've known about the first Alien, I've never seen all of it, but I've seen parts of it. And that one was what I would consider more of a horror-type film, but this one I just couldn't help but see as an action film, which probably was why it helped take away from the movie for me. But
I mean, it's funny, too, because the only parts of this I actually like are parts that are distinctly Cameron, which is bizarre to me. Because my biggest issues with this film are both Cameron, and my biggest, positives for this film are Cameron. This film isn't actually ever boring. It's actually very, interesting and action-packed, and I like a lot of the action. Yeah, which is, because, but that's what Cameron's good at. It's so frustrating. This is it's funny, because this is, the third, I think I wrote my letterbox was one sentence, and it was, this is, the third best Cameron movie. And I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. It's so bitter. It's so frustrating to watch Cameron do these things where it's just why would you do this? This is such a poor idea. This is such a terrible screenwriting technique. And then care more about flower number 3 on the left or whatever the hell he's caring about in several scenes. We're going to talk about Titanic in 2 weeks for romantic epics, and that's hilarious.
Oh, God, please don't remind me about that.
That's going to be great.
That's going to be awful.
I actually am wanting to rewatch that ever since, last time I saw that, I was in such a bitter place about Titanic, and I want to see that now. Now that I feel whether I'm, less bitter about it, whether I, actually will have, a better reaction to it this time. I'm interested to actually do that.
I think one change I would have made to Aliens, because you're kind of rambling coherently about unrelated stuff now. So one change I would have liked to see would be to separate the kid, Newt, from the other people. In other words, so that Ripley is the only person who ever really sees or interacts with Newt. Because then we can raise the valid point: is Newt even real, or is it a manifestation of Ripley's guilt?
That'd be more interesting.
That would have been a really nice touch.
I mean, what I would have done is just removed the kid altogether, made the characters better, and to went with that. I mean, those are my 2 biggest gripes with the film are.
But the kid is part of the horror part of reproductive horror.
I just would have removed the kid entirely. You don't need the kid.
I think for Ripley you do,
no.
Because this movie is her redemption. She's successful in ousting the first alien. But she's a wreck at the start of this movie.
She is a wreck at the start of the movie.
She feels like she's lost her chance to be a mother, which is not inaccurate. She feels like she's lost her job and her place in the world because she's displaced from it by 57 years. And they're trying to dump all of these additional, weights on her. That, we can't really prove it's an alien, so we think you're just a nut job. And you can go man the decks now because that's prestigious.
That is so prestigious.
She's actively looked down upon for the first half of the movie, and she's constantly suffering nightmares. The course of this movie is really Ripley gets a gun and learns how to stand up to these things.
Yeah.
And this child figure serves as a chance for Ripley to kind of redeem what she sees as a failure in parenting.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. So I guess you could do both of the one where you want to do it, where she's the only person who sees Newt, that kind of.
That would have made it better.
I like that idea a lot. I still like the idea where you get rid of the Newt entirely and just make the characters better. I mean, but I'm sorry. These are the 2 biggest issues I have with this.
But the characters are bad on purpose. That's the beauty of it.
I would rather they be more interesting and enjoyable than just terrible.
But that doesn't
Let's
serve a message.
Let's talk about the ending for a bit.
Okay.
This is where my James Cameron, my J.J. Abrams theory comes in. And so there's 3 doors. Okay, you can do door number 1, which is you can basically just make Alien again, like remake the first film, do the exact same tone, exact same style, whatever you want to do, redo that. That's fine. You do door number 2, where you can take something entirely the opposite direction. Okay, you have door number 3, where you can combine the 2. You take parts from the first film, try to do something entirely different with the tone, and it just doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work here. It's so stupid to see this ending, and you're like, my God, you just did this already. Do something different. If you're going to make a different film, do something different at the end.
I would probably say Aliens is now one of my favorite movies.
Well, I know.
And a large part of that is because of how much it's affected. Because I can now watch this movie and kind of piece together in my mind, oh, so that's what went on to be ripped off by this, and this. And I can see that for everything. And ironically, it adds a huge degree of depth to the watching experience for me. It's just, that's where that came from. But the ending lost me. I understand what they were trying to do, and it didn't work.
There's got to be a better way to kill a thing, is basically the issue.
Jason,
did you actually go back and watch to the end, or did you stop at the 80 minutes and just not go back?
I couldn't finish. It was one of those things that I just couldn't touch on after.
Much.
I mean, the last 25 minutes are good. It's just, it was so ridiculous to get to the end, and it's the exact same way we got rid of the alien in the first.
Okay, I'll be blunt. I don't know how I would have done this. If anything else, I would have said I would have cut out the entire climactic ship battle at the end, because it didn't work.
I would have done it a different way.
I've done it a different way.
That's the first thing I would have figured out.
But the reason is, they needed a reason for Ripley to go down there on foot, because if you have this badass queen, and you're currently flying in a ship armed with heavy ordnance, the queen's not much of a... You can't make the queen threatening.
No, you can't.
The only way the queen is threatening is if the queen is on board the ship and you can't use all the fancy weapons.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Bringing in the heavy-duty loader, I knew they were going to, because they hinted it at the very beginning of the film.
That's how... Yeah, because they mentioned that's how she got rid of it.
But it doesn't work. It looks so cheesy.
There's got to be a better way to do it. Like 100, and like the fact that that everybody can breathe in space.
Yes, that was amazing.
That's the best part of that. That is the stupidest thing where she literally crawls out of the space tunnel. Yeah. Doesn't fry alive in space. Crawls out of it. So stupid.
Well, I mean,
without a doubt.
I'll be blunt. I'm not a physics major, but it is my personal opinion, it's kind of hand-wavy science in the background, that being exposed to a vacuum in space without any form of protection
would kill you.
Is at least going to leave a mark. She just shrugs it off.
She's just like, cool.
I know why. I know why. The reason is you can't have any kind of vacuum scene without exposing the characters to space. Unless they just happen to find something like antiquated spacesuit in there that mysteriously never gets punctured during the fight, or it's a logical mess. But actually, no, that's the thing. This entire ending sequence on the ship is a logical mess.
The entire ending sequence is just a mess from
it just doesn't work.
Yeah, at all. There has got to be a better way to do that. There's got to be, I don't know, nuke the thing or something. There's got to be a better way to do that.
I mean, well, that's basically what happens when the power plant fries anyway.
Yeah.
Which is also really funny, because that means the entire thing with her, frying the nest is entirely pointless.
The thing's going to nuke it anyway. Yeah.
Exactly.
It'd be so much better, though. Honestly, if you just got rid of the part where they have to, go into the ship with the loading weapons, somehow she finds a way to nuke it and survive. Yeah. And then you could cut to, the thing, hand pops out of the dirt or something. That would work so much better than this.
And it would be the whiny guy. I hated that guy.
That's the best. This whole movie is just so bad.
That guy has went on to become the stuff of meme legend, but he was an annoying character.
There's so many.
I felt he needed a bit more description, simply because his actions were so out of line with what you would with everyone else. If he's oh, this is my first mission, that's all the introduction you give him. Okay, his idiotic behavior now makes a bit more sense. But like if you notice, he's the only one panicking. In a way, he's also an audience proxy for kind of emotional alarm. And everyone else is like, shut the fuck up. The only thing that's going to do is get us killed. Go make us supper.
7.
Good. We have 3 more to go.
These are 10. Actually, I want to ask you a question here quickly.
I think they did it too much too far.
Yeah.
Like his lines have had greater impact if he wasn't known as just always being the guy making the stupid line.
Game over, man.
Yeah.
Well, game over, man. Game over.
See, I thought when I came in, I thought there was one scene where he just snaps under pressure.
The entire movie.
And that would work really well.
Yeah.
But no, he does that like every single scene. And so you spend the whole time wondering, is this guy just completely emotionally unfit for duty? What is he doing here?
Is he
this like, is he going to get freed from a prison sentence if he makes it through this? But you're just like, if you're panicking that much, like, do you really fit the bill? You kind of have to be able to keep it together under pressure. And I'm not saying that war isn't scary, because it freaking is.
But they're Marines.
They're expected to keep it together and not panic every 5 seconds. That's why if you just reached a breaking point and then snapped, great. Because now the audience can relate to the scene and realize, okay,
they're really in trouble. But no,
everyone is under a lot of pressure right now. Like they're all getting a little wild.
Yeah.
But if it's every scene, then the audience just goes,
go away.
What is this even supposed to mean to me?
Go away.
This guy likes to whine a lot.
I want to ask you a question though. On a scale of 1 to Batman and Robin, how ridiculous are the one-liners? I'm at about an 8.
Okay, you know what? I really enjoyed this movie, but I would say about an 8 or 9 for one-liners. They were terrible.
I have to agree with that.
The part where she's like, "What, have you ever been mistaken for a man?" Oh God, I almost killed myself.
My favorite line is still...
That was one of the first things that absolutely ticked me off about the movie. Was her. I don't even know her name.
The Michelle Rodriguez character.
Yeah. No,
I don't know the actor. It just looks like Michelle. It just reminded me so much of Michelle.
Actually,
Rodriguez.
no. That have you ever been mistaken for a man line was one of my favorite in the movie. That was the only one that's actually funny.
It's like the stupid.
Sure, it was stupid, but at least it was funny.
No, it was more stupid than funny.
No. Stupid is when Ripley's near the end against the alien queen. She says, "Get away from her, you bitch."
It's the greatest thing.
I was just like,
I love how that became...
The alien queen is a bitch?
I love how that became the most,
not
important
monstrous, acid-pouring horror.
I love how that became...
I look at that thing and bitch is not my first reaction.
I can't wait. I love how that became the most, well-known line from the entire...
Yeah.
Of ever.
Ever.
Of, the 80s. One of, the top, 25 most known lines of all time. That is the stupidest thing to me. Without a doubt. Okay, anyways, ratings out of 5, Michael. You got a rating out of 5? You can go the full 5?
Yeah.
You can go the full 5?
But that is largely biased by impact and by visual realization.
If that's what you get out of the film, that's what you get out of it.
Yeah.
Right,
I really enjoyed it.
That's what you. If that's what floats your boat for this thing, that's awesome. I wish I had
flaws.
That. 100%. I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I really enjoyed it. Alphaville was.
We'll get to Alphaville later.
It was a chore for me. Gravity was good, but Aliens I really enjoyed watching. I didn't look up on my watch and go, "Is this over yet? Can I leave?" Which happens sadly.
I did many times. I didn't finish.
That was the opposite. I ate up Alphaville like it was candy, and I wanted this thing to just disappear.
I don't know who you are anymore. I thought we were friends, Tom.
Friends, never say goodbye. Come on. I had it 2.5 out of 5, which basically meant that I thought it was okay. I mean, it has things that are redeemable in it.
Yeah.
It's just too frustrating in the script for me to actually like it. Go.
For me, because I feel that my rating is going to be the most unfair because I didn't finish the movie.
It's
nor
true.
have I seen Alien. But based on what I saw alone, from an outside viewpoint of that, I would have to give it a 2. That yes, I agree that there are redeemable things in it, but it was outweighed by all the things that I can't tolerate in film.
I thought you were going to hate it more, to be honest.
Congratulations. You are now in opposition to the community at large. Prepare for the flames.
To 98% of Rotten Tomatoes, 8 Satin Awards, to Entertainment Weekly, and Rotten Ebert.
Well, to be fair, you could say that Siskel is on your side.
Siskel is on our side. He hated it. He had the same issues I did.
We got that going for us.
All right.
We should move on.
Yeah, jumping into Gravity.